So, lately, I have been reading and watching a lot of one of my favorite and one of the most inspirational stories I've seen. It's known as Watership Down. Now, you would think that a story about wild rabbits would be all fun and playful and innocent. Well, that's not what Watership Down is like. No. In Watership Down, they uh, portray rabbits in a totally different way. In the story Watership Down, rabbits are not cute, cuddly, lovable, and always like to have fun all the time or whatever. No. In Watership Down, the rabbits are strong, cunning, and how else should I put it? Strong, cunning, smart, and courageous animals that are determined to survive and outsmart their enemies. Not just any enemies, though. The whole world is their enemy, their words, especially towards their so-called prince named El-Ra. There's a saying for that one particular rabbit. All the world will be your enemy, prince with 1,000 enemies. And whenever they catch you, they will kill you. But first they must catch you. Digger, listener, runner, prince with a swift warning. Be cunning, full of tricks, and your people will never be destroyed. That is so cool, isn't it? Not something you would normally expect from a rabbit. But yeah, I mean, the story has a lot of suspenseful and adventurous and overall creative content. And not to mention, there is quite a bit of violence as well, which is also something you would normally expect from a story about rabbits. But yeah, there are plenty of injuries and even deaths in that story. Yeah. The first movie in particular, yeah, that was notorious for having violence. Yeah. Not so much as the old TV show. Yeah, the old TV show didn't have that much violence. The funny thing is, the 3D animated Netflix series that I think it came out in 2018, that had some violence, but not as much as the first movie. Yeah. But of course, I'm sure a lot of people believe that nothing will ever come close to the book. Well, in my opinion, some some things that the movie or the TV series had, both of them, sometimes they had things that made them special, not better than the book, but something that made them enjoyable in a way that it wasn't in the book. It's kind of hard to explain. Maybe when it had to do with the characters themselves, the overall storyline, and yeah, whatever. Yeah, the characters. I found lots of the characters very memorable and very likable as well. One of my favorite, I think my number one favorite character is Bigwig. He's probably the strongest and most hot-headed out of the good rabbits. Yeah, but one of the things I like the most about him is his name, Bigwig. It has a it has a nice rhythm or something like that to it. And of course that signature tuft of fur on the top of his head, where he gets his name from. Yeah. I also like the fact that he's able to hold his own in nearly all the fights that he's in, even against General Woundwort, the main villain. Yeah. Yeah, the villains as well. The main villain, the chief of Ephrafa, General Woundwort, he is just brutal. I haven't seen the book enough to see him in the book yet, but in the movie, in the 2D old TV series, and the 3D Netflix TV series, all three, he is just so brutal, merciless, violent, and intimidating. That is also something you would not expect from rabbits. But, rabbit or not, it's his actions that make him so intimidating. The way how he seems to treat the rabbits of Ephrafa like slaves, to take away their freedom, to scar them in order to mark them, in order to let them know what their privileges are. It's kind of hard, yeah, to explain. Or anyway, it's really brutal. Yeah, but I swear, the best part about him was when he came to his untimely end in the movie and the Netflix TV series. He was not afraid of that dog at all. He straight up lunged at it and was never seen again. I'm pretty sure that he did end up dying, but let's just say I was impressed that he went down with courage and was not at all a coward, even in the face of death. Gosh, I don't know if it was courage or downright overconfidence or maybe even foolishness for even a large rabbit to take on a dog, but still, that was quite a, I would say, maybe somewhat admirable way to go. Yeah. Now, one thing that definitely impacted me quite a bit in Watership Down was the part of the story about Cowslip's Warren. That's one of the main reasons why I bought the audiobook. To see the rest of the story, sure, but no other way to tell the story is better at telling the story of Cowslip's Warren than the book itself. I mean, the concept of it is so intriguing. It was the main inspiration for a very important story feature of one of my books. Cowslip's Warren, basically, these rabbits are given healthy, luxurious vegetables by a farmer and are protected from predators by the man as well. But there's a heavy price they pay. Once in a while, the rabbits living there would get caught and killed by snares, shining wires looped round their necks, suffocating them. Yeah, so basically, they are given a life of luxury where they don't have to work hard or know how to fight or know how to defend themselves or think of any tricks, but they pay it with their lives. Not too many times though, because the farmer only kills a few rabbits at a time so as not to make them run away. Yeah, but even though the rabbits are big and healthy, they can't fight. They don't know how to fight because they don't really have to. But even more than that, they become very strange because without tricks and cunning, and forgetting the wild ways of wild rabbits, and forgetting Ellery Ra, they came up with all kinds of other strange things to pass the time, like singing songs like birds, dancing around to greet each other, and making shapes out of stones, artwork perhaps, and having this weird belief that they have some sort of dignity, and believing that rabbits should have the will to accept their fate. But the scariest thing is that they are to never, ever even speak about the wires, or anyone that's ever been snared by the wires. Anyone that was must be forgotten and never mentioned again. But in the way that they say it, the one thing that is forbidden is that nobody could ever ask where. So the rabbits in Cowslip's Warren must never ask where anything, and never speak of the wires. If anyone were to, they would probably go insane and scratch and maim those that dared to. Man, it's almost as if they're in denial of the situation that they're in. But that whole concept was so amazing in my eyes. The idea of that way of living for those rabbits, that's what gave me one of the main story focuses in one of my stories. It's from my story Nature Men. It's about the spiritless, and their land is very similar to Cowslip's Warren, and the way that they live is similar to the rabbits of Cowslip's Warren, trading away their lives for luxury, protection, and no need for hard work or fighting, all the while in denial of the many lives lost as a price for such luxurious and easy way of living. Yeah, it really is quite incredible. Yeah, but there's far more to Watership Down than just Cowslip's Warren. I mean, Ephrafa, the evil horn run by General Woundwort, is practically a prison, being marked, scarred on certain parts of your body, to allow the council to know what you're supposed to do and when you're supposed to do it. Yeah, it's very brutal. Very brutal. And yet, and yet, the rabbits of Watership Down were willing to face the dangers and horror of that warren in order to rescue the female rabbits of Ephrafa and help them join them at Watership Down. Mhm. Yeah. Of course, the only reason that they went to Watership Down was because Fiver had a vision of their old warren being destroyed by humans. Now let's see. Overall, my favorite version of Watership Down is probably the 2018 Netflix series for multiple reasons. First of all, it's 3D animated, and you probably know from my YouTube videos, from all the animations that I make, I'm a huge fan of 3D animated cartoons and movies. Also, the characters are portrayed very well. Their personalities are great. I'd say they're accurate, and they're very likable. Their appearances are also pretty cool too. Realistic, but not too realistic. Also, the environments are amazing to look at, and the story itself is very impressive. Really, the only thing that I could wish from it is that if they pondered more and cast slips more in. That's the only thing I could ask for. Yeah. There are a few things. They left out a few characters that I would have liked them to include, like Pipkin and Silver, but that's alright. That's totally fine. Yeah. Overall, it's a really great story. Whether it be the book, the old 80s movie, the old TV series from the 90s, and the 2018 3D animated Netflix series. It really is a fantastic story. One of my favorites. Yeah, I would rate it very creative, inspirational, and of course, breaks a lot of stereotypes when it comes to rabbits. And I love it when stories break stereotypes. Yeah, yeah.